Over the last 12 months, my team and I have helped Medspas and aesthetic practices across the UK and US book over 4,000 new patients into their clinics. I'm going to be sharing with you some of the top lessons I've learned that's helped them to stop competing on price and actually being able to charge more money than all the competitors around them. This is going to be focusing mainly on anyone who gets patients via social media or online advertising. So the main thing I've noticed and the main problem as to why a lot of clinic owners find themselves competing on price is because they present their offer in a way that allows people to put them in a box. So I'll explain what I mean. When someone sees your advert online on social media or on Google or Instagram, they don't just see you, they see your advert, they see your offer, but then they get presented with lots of other adverts and promotions from lots of other clinics and med spas in your area. And a lot of clinics, their offer, meaning how they present the treatment, is very similar to how a lot of other clinics present their offers. So I'll give you an example. Let's say someone is advertising dermal filler, for example. They might just say on the advert, they might just have like 3 mil or 4 mil or 3 syringes of filler, however much the volume is for this much price. So I'm in the UK, we advertise it based on the mil. So someone might say 4 mil of filler or 5 mil filler for £500 or $600, etc. They have like the volume and price, and that's how everyone does it. The problem with this is that when someone sees your price, they think, okay, well, I just saw someone else advertise 4 mil of filler for this much money, and well, yours is $100 more expensive, so I don't think you should charge that much. That's the mentality prospects will have when they see your offer, and then you just have to reduce your price to be able to get them in. What we found is a much better way of doing it. I'm not saying this is the only way of doing it, but how we found is a better way of doing it is that don't name your offer of the treatment after the actual like consumable, or don't name it after what it contains. In that instance, for example, instead of calling it like a 4 mil package for $500 or $600 or pounds, whatever currency you use, what we did in that instance for a particular client, using this example, is we named it after the transformation that the client would get. So in that particular instance, we called it something along the lines of like a 10 years younger liquid facelift package, for example, and then we put the price there. When you do that, and then we didn't mention how many mil or syringes it was, because we said it's custom depending on what your face needs. When you do it that way, when someone sees that, it's very difficult for them to put you in a box, because everyone else is naming it just after the volume and price. You're doing it based on transformation. So when someone sees that, they would not have seen anyone else do that kind of thing before. So it's very hard for them to then start to price compare you. It's then a lot easier for you to then have custom pricing and price it around the value that people will actually get, not just base it on the deliverables of how much mil or how many syringes of filler they're going to be getting. So point being that you want how you present your offer for the treatment to be around the transformation and not based on the actual treatment itself or the consumables that people will get, because doing it this way means that people can't put you in a box of like a mental box of how much they think your treatment should cost, and as a result of that, it's very difficult for them to try and knock down your prices because there's nothing for them to compare you against. Another example could be like, let's say it's a machine treatment like cool sculpting or fat freezing. A lot of people might just say, I don't know, 60-minute cool sculpting or 2 paddles for $500, £500, whatever. Like they have the number of minutes or the number of like arms on the machine, and they attach a price to it. Again, people see that and they'd be like, okay, well, someone else is doing this same thing, 60 minutes or 2 paddles or 30 minutes for $500, $100 cheaper than what you're doing it for. For example, what we've done that's a lot better is that we would normally do for our clients. On the advert, we would name it something like 360 non-surgical lipo package. For example, like non-surgical lipo, emphasizing the fact that it's non-surgical, it's 360, so we're covering like the whole abdomen, etc. That's not an exact name, but the point is we're naming it in a way that's different to what people would have seen before, and we're naming it after the transformation. Or you can also say like a 360 mummy tuck lipo package, for example, because it's targeting people who are new mums who want to tuck the tummy and make the tummy smaller. Doing it that way, like I said, makes it harder for people to put you in a box. So when they see your post on social media, when they see it on Google, they can't then automatically by default say, oh, I've seen this before, because they're like, what is that? Like, I haven't seen that before. So then they can't automatically price compare you. And then it gives you a chance to then actually build your price based on the value and based on the transformation that people will get, as opposed to just based on the actual machine or the treatment, if that makes sense. So again, another example is like HIFU or radio frequency microneedling or endo lift, anything for like tightening the face. A lot of clinics would just say something like, get your HIFU treatment for $700. It's like people see HIFU, they see a price, and then if they see another clinic saying HIFU for $600, they're going to be like, oh, well, these guys are doing it for $100 cheaper, therefore I'm going to go and do it there. But if you were to say like non-surgical skin tightening package, or a 10 years younger non-surgical skin tightening session, for example, we're emphasizing the fact that this is for tightening the skin, it's non-surgical, so we're focusing on the outcome, we're focusing on the result, and then we're not really having the treatment as the focal point. Yes, of course, we'll tell people about the treatment, but that will be later on. But the point is that because we're not focusing on the treatment as the first touch point, meaning the first time people see you, it's harder for them to just automatically, like, have that comparison in their mind saying, oh, this is HIFU, it should be this much. No, we're leading with value, we're leading with the transformation someone will get. And then once they come in for the consultation, of course, we're going to tell them about the treatment and all the particulars. But then at that point, it's a lot easier because you've led with value, and as a result, charge how much you should be charging based on the value, not based on what other people are charging for that treatment, if that makes sense. It works like a charm. Try it out, take whatever treatment you're advertising and just look at the transformation someone would get, and then just base your offer based on the transformation. If that helps, be sure to subscribe. We help med spas and aesthetic practices across the UK and the US get more patients via online acquisition. If you'd like some help with getting more patients for your clinic, if you're in the UK, Europe or US, you can click the link below to book in a meeting and find out more about how we might be able to help you out. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. If you like this video, be sure to like it and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.